right, Matt. Well, I think our fortunes for our teams have kind of flipped in the past
We have
two
the same
days.
record again.
Yeah, but weirdly, you the Cowboys feel more hopeful, I think, at this point. Um, it's just I don't even want to talk about it. I will, but I'll save it because I think I'm gonna ramble for a little bit. So
Oh
I'll save it, let you
boy.
go first. Well, I mean, not ramble. I just
I mean, I have a
anyway.
saying on the
I'll
Dolphins, but I'm the objective one here. You're the fan on this one.
well, I mean, I'm just so many negative emotions and feelings. I'll just say after this past game, lots of blame I think to go around, but I'll wait. Um, I'll let you go first since you had a better week, albeit against the Panthers. Although you guys were dogs in this one,
Yep.
crazy. But I mean, that's a little bit of credit to Bryce Young, how he was playing recently. But Cooper Rush, CD Lamb looks like they got it going. So, like you said, 6-8 now. Why don't you? Oh God, yeah, dude,
Yep.
he's gonna come on at this point. He's seeing the
Cooper
stuff. So
Rush.
you
Yeah, we
gotta
gotta
you
I
gotta
think we
keep
gotta
it.
DM him.
You gotta keep it going. I think. Well, maybe not. I think it's hard now because he's. I think he's locked in.
He is locked in. I
Hey,
don't want to bother him.
he's QB1 of the Dallas Cowboys and leading them in the right direction, knock on wood. But yeah, 6-8, you guys are still alive. I mean, it's still gonna be tough, don't get me wrong. Um I I think you guys I don't even know what the percent chance is. I'm guessing it's
It's like
pretty low. Under
two, five or
yeah, I was
two. I
gonna
forget one of
say
those numbers.
five or below. But weirdly feel like there's some hope, I think. So sitting at 6-8, yep, you got your Cooper Rush picture up. Why don't you take us through how you're feeling after Sunday's game against the Panthers?
Well, this was actually a game where I went in with no expectation because I said last week the Bengals loss was kind of like the final straw. It was like, if we can win that game, we would be 7-7 right now, still knocking on the door, kind of hoping that Washington would probably slip up in a game between the time we play them next. And then you get a winner take all game to end the season at home with a chance to get into the playoffs. Like that was already a long shot, but it seemed a little doable. But now after that loss last week, it's going to be tough. So now they're really just playing for pride at this point. Even Micah Parsons said, I think after the Bengals loss on his podcast, he said, the season is pretty much over, but they want to build something for next season, continue to play well so we can have momentum going into the next season. And I totally understand that from the player's perspective because you're not trying to just tank, as a player, as a competitor. You're not going to do that. As a fan, we can dream that. I mean, I'll admit I wanted them to lose for the draft pick. Not going to lie. But as a player, I totally understand where Micah Parsons is coming from. Like, you're not just going to fold. Like, let's build on this. Let's see what we got for 2025. And then hopefully with a healthier team, you're thinking, okay, we can be back in the playoff hunt. But this game itself, I mean, it wasn't great to start, but things started to really pick up, I think in the third quarter when this man right here started cooking. So actually, I have to admit, I didn't even watch this entire game. I had a baseball game. So I watched bits and pieces of it. But when I was watching, it was more the ugly, like we were just kind of going through the motions. The defense was making plays, forcing a couple of turnovers in the first half. So that was a good sign to see because that's what this Dallas defense is built on. Playing with a lead and creating turnover was something that when we were in the thick of this bad stretch of games in the middle of the season, we weren't forcing turnovers. So it was good to see our team, kind of get that out of the way. The run defense has been much better. It hasn't been great, but it's been much better to hold a good quality, at least fantasy back, and really a solid back in this league, Chuba Hubbard, who's been rolling this year. I mean, you hold him to 32 yards rushing, 60 yards as a team as a whole. That'll work. That'll work all the time. And, we can build on that continuing going forward. But other than that, like the offense was still a little shaky. Like CeeDee Lamb made a terrific touchdown catch earlier to start the game. He had this one drive where he literally just dominated every single yard on the possession, which was pretty crazy. But really, man, second half was when it really kind of came to fruition because Cooper Rush, I seen the highlights too on Instagram. It's like Cooper Rush is dealing fire emoji. And he's throwing like he threw like a sidearm touchdown pass. You always made fun of Cooper Rush. He throws that anybody can throw a 5 yard, sidearm pass. But this guy's throwing like 20-yard touchdown bombs in the middle of the field, over a couple defenders,
20
striking
yard
it
20-yard bomb now. Okay.
20-yard bomb, sidearm. And it's so accurate. It's like prime Mahomes.
You talking about the CD one? Okay, yeah.
No, but all of them. It was like even the one with Jalen Brooks. It was like back of the end zone, double coverage. You couldn't have thrown it better. And I'm not saying Dak is but I don't know if Dak can make that throw. Throwing sidearm and stuff like he's solid, but he's gonna make the fundamental play. Cooper Rush. Some of his plays look a little flashy, so that gets me excited all the time because I can gloat a little bit. But really the thing of this game was really Rico Dowdle. I mean, he kind of took over in the second half. He finishes with 149 yards rushing, 25 carries. I mean, he's just been rock solid RB1. And really ever since we just went full force with him, our run game has been exponentially better, just light and day. So I don't know what took so long to get this thing figured out. Maybe it was the Dak injury, but even with the Dak injury, I mean, I don't understand it. I really don't. I mean, we should have known from the start this guy was going to be our RB1 going into the year. But nonetheless, I'm happy for Rico. I mean, he's been a guy on this team, consistent backup. I think he's been here for about 5 years or so. So really long time coming for him. It'll be interesting to see what we do in the off season because he did sign a 1-year deal. Maybe there's going to be a team out there that sees what he's doing down this stretch and will give him a nice payday. So that's something that the front office is going to have to consider. But, overall, once we got Rico going and Cooper Rush is dealing, Dallas is going to be in a good spot to win games. And that's exactly what they did. And it was actually the worst outcome possible because now it's like, do we continue to go for it with that slimmer of hope? Because I truthfully wanted them to lose as a fan because I just want them to get the best draft pick possible. But I guess when you're Cooper Rush and all you know how to do is win games, kind of hard to just, fold and tank. So gotta respect the GOAT here, Cooper Rush, balling out as usual. But he's got another chance next week let's just see what he's got. I mean, Sunday Night Football, everybody wants to watch Baker Mayfield versus Cooper Rush. I mean, that's going to be a dandy. So I think that's our last primetime game of the season. So we got to make it count. I will say that. But I'm pretty pleased with how they played, considering with who they had on the field. I mean, we lost Trayvon Diggs for the rest of the season. That's a huge loss. Now I'm just more worried that he's going to come back in time for the start of next season because, it said the reports was he's out for 8 months, but Micah Parsons was saying something on his podcast like, maybe we can get Trayvon back like late into the season next year. I'm like, wait, hold up. That's a really that doesn't match. Like 8 months
Mm,
puts us on track for August. So that's right before the season. So at least he'll have a little bit of time to, maybe he'll play a preseason game or not, but at least he'll get to practice a little bit before the real deal. But I don't know. Micah Parsons' comments scared me a little bit. But
yeah,
all it is now, nobody get hurt. Cooper Rush, keep doing your thing. If you leave Dallas, go get your bag because you deserve it, man. You've been balling out. So happy for him. And I don't even know what to feel. Like I think the season's over, but maybe we'll go 8-9 over the next couple games. We're gonna miss the playoffs, but classic Dallas Cowboys, right? 500 or around 500 to finish the year. So we'll see how it is. But I am in no stress right now with football. Mentally, I just accepted the fact that it's not our year. It's not our year. I
yeah.
guess it's a little different for you. I mean, I don't know, your team at least had a shot.
Don't even get
Guess
me started.
I'll put my king away and you can talk about your quarterback.
Okay. Well, first off, I think I can officially say, Matt, that I am fully entrenched as a Miami Dolphins fan now. The past several years I've followed a lot, the Miami Dolphin Twitter, you could say. My algorithm shows me Miami Dolphins Twitter during football season. And, the past couple years, I've followed some like diehard fans, longtime fans of the team, and they all end the season with the same tweets of, oh, another year of Miami Dolphins heartbreak. Typical Dolphins get our hopes up and then let us down. Another season of promise that ends in, disappointment, whatever, whatever. And me being a relatively new fan of the team, I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand it's tough, right? Especially they have the longest drought in the NFL without a playoff win, all that stuff you hear. It is, it's not good. Now I can officially say that this pain that I felt from this past loss is comparable, I would say, to like a Dodgers playoff exit, a Lakers playoff exit, because okay, well, I'll just say
Mm.
season ending. Like when the season's over. I mean, as spoiled as I am, right? The Dodgers and Lakers over the course of my life have been in the playoffs, right? So typically, when their season is over, it's in the playoffs. Unfortunately, for Dolphins fans, 20 plus years hasn't been the case. Um, or on a handful of times they've made it, but yeah, it's just hard. I'll start with the I actually want to start with a little bit of the good since there's not much good to go around. But I will say that the defense played extremely well in this one. You know, holding this Texans offense, which, let's be honest, hasn't been the same this year. And we've spoken about it over the past several weeks now. It's getting a little bit concerning, I think, if you're a Texans fan, but the offense just hasn't looked quite the same. CJ, I don't want to say has regressed, but just definitely not has not taken that year two step that we were all looking to see from him at this point. Especially, get Nico Collins back, Tank Dell is back, Joe Mixon, Dalton Schultz. Yeah, you lose Stephon Diggs, but you hear those names, you expect to put up some points and some numbers, but got to give credit to this Miami Dolphins defense, Anthony Weaver's defense held this Texans offense to a total of 181 yards, 20 points, and albeit two off of um short fields from turnovers. So, got to give credit where credit is due. Not only did they hold this Texans, offense to under 200 yards, but when it mattered the most, I will say, in that second half, giving the offense essentially, three chances to go down and tie the game. Um, that's tough to do, to be able to force three punts right in the second half to give your offense just a chance. Um, yeah, got to tip my cap to them. You know, Chop Robinson, Zach Sealer, secondary, I thought played pretty well too. To allow those guys up front to get after CJ. So really impressed from what I saw. And holding Joe Mixon to, essentially under 25 yards. That's a win too. So really, really good stuff from the defense. It's pretty much all the positive I gotta say right now about the this team. So let me get to the bad,
The fun
and
stuff.
it's got to start first of all with the guy that made me a fan of this team, and obviously that's Tua. Right, been following him since he was at Alabama, obvious reasons, but I think I've essentially watched his entire career as a pro. This might be his worst performance that I've seen from him. When just under the circumstances, when it matters the most, you can go back to the playoff game. It wasn't great, but when you're playing in record setting low conditions, it's hard to throw the ball. I don't care who you are, right? A couple years ago, I can think of the Titans game that they had a chance to make the playoffs in that first run with Brian Flores, essentially his last year. They weren't able to do it, pull it off. He was playing in wet conditions, just couldn't get it done. But that was a really good Mike Vrabel led team at that time. Um, and then, even this year, you can point to the first half of that Buffalo Bills game where I think he already had three picks before, obviously goes head first into DeMar Hamlin. Um, that also wasn't a good game, but just I think the thing that killed me with this one is it's tough when you can you are such fan you're such a fan of teams or players that have the reputation of coming up short in big moments. And just unfortunately, like I don't know why I picked these guys to root for, but I do. Like growing up, obviously Peyton Manning fan, right? Peyton had all the stats. He was regarded as one of the best in the game. Looking back now, yeah, two-time Super Bowl champ. But if you don't remember those early years with Peyton in Indianapolis, it's always, yeah, he puts up the numbers in the regular season, but runs into Tom Brady or runs into the Steelers or, runs into the Chargers, can't clutch it up, can't get the job done when it counts the most, right? Another guy I look to on the baseball side, Clayton Kershaw, one of the best regular season pitchers statistically in the history of baseball. No doubt, undisputed, right? But as we know, he garnered a reputation as well of not being able to show up or produce when it matters the most in the playoffs, right? How many times have I seen Clayton Kershaw drop, hands on his knees after a home run, sitting in the dugout, towel on his head, and just crushing, especially when you're such big fans of these guys. They're good guys, and elite for most of the, season. So Tua is another guy, right? You can even go back to Alabama, aside from obviously his legendary second half as a freshman. Um, Goes on to play Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, right? Injuries kind of hurt him as well, but he only gets that one natty, right? Um, and then the past several years with Mike McDaniel, especially, and I'll keep it on the McDaniel era, but I think I saw a stat there 1-17, Matt, in 80 something games or something with Mike McDaniel and Tua. Like, I don't even
Is that against winning teams?
against playoff teams.
Is that
So
one win against us last year?
I it might be. Um it it just isn't it's just not good. Like it's actually making me just so upset. I mean, how can how can you even okay, here. Dolphins are 3-13 versus teams with a record above 500. And I never know what that means above 500 cuz like is it above 500 at the time? Is it above 500 when they finish the season? Whatever. Regardless, there's a track record now that's been established with this head coach, this quarterback, this team that they don't show up in big moments and they don't. Like when it's time to win the game, you either win or you don't. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to get it done. I don't know if there's a mental thing between someone, but I have to point towards two guys, at least right now. Maybe three, but I will say Mike McDaniel and Tua. It's just they haven't been able to get it done when it matters the most. Um, the third guy was going to be Chris Greer. We can talk about him after the season. I'll save it. But in this game, especially, um, like the turnovers, just brutal. Um, the fumble excusable. You know when your fourth string right tackle at this point gets beat by elite defensive ends. Okay, and he's coming from your backside. You're trying to throw the ball. That's a football play. Happens to the best of the best quarterbacks in the league. Happens. The three picks though, the thing that kills me, and I think I'm gonna tie the picks into both Mike McDaniel and Tua, just because. So the first one, right, was the one that was almost housed for a touchdown. Shout out to Devon Achan for saving that one. But you know, like that pick to me is essentially indicative of Mike McDaniel's system and to almost, I don't want to say blindly following it, right? But at this point, especially this season, I talked about it earlier. Tua has been less one read than I can remember throughout the past 2 years with Mike McDaniel, right? Because I've said it before, everyone knows this, but they're a timing based offense, right? You rely on 11 guys being on the same page, running their routes perfectly so that Tua, you know, what does he rely on? Getting the ball out fast, right? Fastest release time in the league. But what does that mean? More than likely, he's throwing to his first read. Because if you're the fastest guy, you're going to take a look pre snap, you're going to get the ball, you're going to make a determination based on where you think guys are, and you're going to get the ball out instantly. 1, 2, 3, balls out, right? And I think that system worked for a while. And, defenses didn't really know how to adjust to it. I think now it's time for an evolution of this offense. To Mike McDaniel's credit and to his credit, I think they did grow it to a certain extent throughout the course of this year. Like I said, to his, second, third, fourth reads, more than I've seen him throughout his entire career. But that first pick, right? He takes a look pre-snap. He thinks it's a certain coverage. Looks one way, almost looking off, tries to look off the safety, comes back, throws the ball, anticipating Tyreek to be in a certain place. Here's a safety right in the middle of the field. You ever play Madden? Cover one robber, right? That's essentially that coverage that you saw on that play. I don't know if that's a mess up by, Tyreek. Is he supposed to run a shallower route? Who knows? But the thing that kills me that I think teams have found out is like it's so timing and execution based by all guys. If someone messes up, whether it's Tua, whether it's a receiver, whether it's a lineman missing their block, like the play's dead at that point. Like um there's no way if it's so, timing and execution based like that for Tua to be able to have any control in the offense, right? Like, how are you supposed to scramble unless like, if Tua is fooled pre-snap, the play is cooked, I think, because he's so determined on knowing what coverage is going to be there, being able to say, okay, I think they're going to be in, this, takes a look to confirm it. Okay, yeah. But if he's fooled, like if he thinks his window is going to be there, he's just going to let it rip. And that's what you saw, I think, multiple times on Sunday. Second pick as well. I mean, gotta say though, Derek Stingley is a baller. Like that dude he's one of them like Pat Surtain types, I think. Um, Ball skills. He's sticking with Tyreek, who I'll get to in a little bit, but still one of the fastest guys in the league. And I mean, he made two enormous plays. Texans got a good one there, right? But even that second play, Matt, that I wanted to get the second pick, I wanted to get into. So that was the out route to Tyreek, right? And that's the one, to me, this is the killer one because they just picked up a fourth down earlier in the drive, right? They're moving. It's like, okay, like this is the drive. He messed up from earlier, learned from it. Like now we're going. And they pick up a fourth down. You know, and okay, we're moving. You feel the momentum. It's like we're driving, right? We're in the red zone. This is it. This is the moment that Tua and the Dolphins are gonna, flip the switch, change the narrative. And there's the sideline picked. And it's oh my god, like absolutely deflating. And they go back, run the replay again. They show River Craycraft in the slot, right? Kind of breaking open on a double move in the slot. And I think it had already happened, but the Grant Dubose injury, right? Two was throwing a little thing. I don't know if that had messed him up at that point, but to me, I think he got a little bit scared to throw over the middle after he saw that incident. Luckily, update, he's okay, right? Got all his movement in his extremities. But I did think that somewhat took a toll on Tua's mental a little bit, especially knowing, he's the one that essentially led his guy into getting hurt. He's been in that head injury situation before. I don't know, but I think it got in his head a little bit, right? But that's still to me like something that you see that coverage. You can't make that throw. Seeing, Derek Stingley's leverage on that play, like I just think that's a poor decision on Tua. I don't know if that's also trying to force Tyreek the ball or whatnot, but can't have that. That one was killer. And then obviously the dagger, the last one. Tua last year, I thought we saw the deep ball, like best he's ever thrown it as a pro, right? Hitting Tyreek in stride, Jalen in stride when it matters most. You could see it. This year, I don't know if we've seen one of those Tyreek bombs other than the first game against Jacksonville. Like, I'm trying to think. That's one of the only,
so.
like, he's got Hill, Kevin Harlan on the call moments, right? So I don't even know how often they practice that because they never get to have that one-on-one coverage. And here they are, chance again, the defense giving them a chance, single high, Tyreek one on one against honestly any corner and he gets a decent release, like, yeah, I'm taking that every day. I don't care who it is, right? If Tyreek doesn't get jammed at the line and he gets a decent release one on one, yeah, I'm throwing him the ball every single time. Tua, I mean, was it underthrown? Yes. Tyreek gets his hands on it, but Derek Stingley, like I said, dude's a beast, rips it away from him. I don't know if that's, you know, people like to say, oh, noodle arm to it, whatever, whatever. But let's be honest, how often have they practiced that route specifically this year when they're so accustomed to teams, taking it away? I don't think they're as comfortable running it because I haven't seen it. We haven't seen it as Dolphins fans. And so maybe the timing just a tick off, from what they're accustomed to. And as you saw, the ball probably half a yard to a yard too far back. And that's all that it takes in the NFL with these elite athletes. So just absolutely brutal. So deflating because essentially that was the season right there. And like I said 3-4 weeks ago now, you don't, you can't change a narrative until you change the narrative, right? Going back earlier, Peyton Manning, all the demons, right? How do I shake them? Finally goes on to win a Super Bowl against Chicago. And now we look back on Peyton's career. That first half isn't as remembered, right? We see him as one of the GOATs of the game. Clayton now, when it's finally all said and done, hey, that first half was pretty rough. People don't realize, the second half of his playoff career, he's been pretty good. Going back to the bubble, even a little bit before that, he's put up good performances against Houston, which people might not remember because, they cheated and they ended up winning the World Series, but had good performances in that World Series, right? And so, but now when we look back, hey, he has 2 rings. One of them you get, well, Mickey Mouse, whatever. But now he's got a legit one. And that's what people at the end of the day are going to see and look back on, right? So you can't erase the narrative until you change it yourself. Unfortunately, it's not going to be this year. I think it literally is going to take a miracle for the Dolphins to even sneak in the playoffs. But even if they get in at this point, I don't know if they win, honestly. So it'll be a miracle either way. But I think the season's done. I think I'm feeling like how you felt last week. Like, I'll watch it for fun. It'll be good building blocks for next season. Ooh. But it feels over, right? So
but you guys are only 2 games back in the loss column with 3 games to go.
Yeah. And so, like I said, it's not impossible, but it is going to take a lot of help. I think the most likely scenario for us to get in is, no, it's actually, I think, well, but I was looking at their schedules. Denver has the harder schedule, actually. Like, Denver has to play the Chargers. But Denver has
9 wins, though.
The Chargers, the Bengals, and the Chiefs, right? Whereas the Chargers have to play the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Raiders. So I need one of those 2 to lose out.
So the Chargers is probably your realistic one because they're 2 games back.
Yeah.
So you probably would cheer for Denver to beat the Chargers.
But
and then you have to hope the Patriots or the Raiders upset.
No, they both need to lose.
They have to lose out.
No, then. Okay. So either Denver or the Chargers have to lose out. Either. But they have to lose out. They have to lose out. So that's why I'm saying it's actually better if Denver, it's probably more likely that Denver loses out because of the teams that they play. But is Kansas City going to rest their guys on the last week? I would think so, right? You never know, but that's what I would assume. And then I need the Colts. I think it's to lose either, 2 of their next 3. But they play the Titans, the Giants, and the Jags. So that's why it's like, the worst part is if Miami won this game, they'd have so much ground. Like that, it would have been a realistic shot to get in at 7-7. But now they're at 6-8. It feels over. And the thing, I'm gonna kill Tua this week, but honestly, I thought the past month before this, and even going back to since he's come back from his injury against Arizona, against Buffalo, like I thought he's played really, really good ball. Um, and he just chose the worst time to have for sure the worst game of the season and potentially one of the worst of his career. Um, Also, I mean, these are all, caveats now, but Jalen Waddle hurt early, essentially a non-factor in this one. They lose a couple starting offensive linemen. And the thing I'll go back to Mike is how are we like another week of under what 60 yards rushing? Like, have we not figured something out by this point? If teams are able to pin their ears back and go get a quarterback without any threat from the run game, if you're not Josh Allen, if you're not Lamar Jackson, like even Patrick Mahomes, yeah, he can run, but if they know they're not going to run the ball and you can pin your ears back and go get them, like that's going to be hard for any quarterback at that point, right? And so 52 yards, another like they're so one dimensional at this point. Teams know how they're going to attack. Like, what, where is the offensive guru that was Mike McDaniel? I don't know. But it's, I've been such a big Mike guy this whole time. So it's hard for me. But not like there's at a certain point, you have to face the facts, right? Like I said, 3-13. And don't even get me started. They also missed an extra point in this one. Jason Sanders, like, I don't know. He can bomb the 50 yarders, but he can't make the extra points. Like, that was a big point. Um, but I'm just gonna pin it on people say, oh, they can't play in the cold. They can't play in these sub below weather. I just think when it comes to the good teams, they just can't win. I don't know what it is. But when it's time to beat high quality teams in this league, they just can't get it done. And it's been consistent. Something's gonna have to change. I don't know if it's, you know, schematically. Um I think it's hard to change culture since he's been there for 3-4 years now, right? So like I don't know. I just think so frustrating that this one is really tough to swallow, but sorry, went kind of long. Um, I'm
Hey,
done now.
I feel the pain.
I'm done because that was my last rant of the year because there will be no more rants. Like even if they lose next week, it's like whatever. So yeah, got it all out. Wait till the season recap to really
Bro.
let loose on everything top to bottom, right? But
This has been a very disappointing football season for this podcast.
yeah,
Because the past few years we've been doing this, at least, well, for the Cowboys, we've been 12-5 for the past 3 years. So
and at least we made the playoffs last
thoroughly
year.
in playoff contention throughout the entire season. But this year, both of our teams just, I don't know what happened. Had a lot of high expectations, and at least mine came crashing down pretty a little bit early. I mean, actually, I don't know. Yours too, with the
With
Tua
the head,
concussion.
yeah, the concussion, like
So
yeah, and he dove head
bad.
first, by the way, again in the game
Oh,
and
I
got
saw the
hit.
clip that he didn't want to tackle
Oh
on the
yeah, okay, there was
interception.
that one, which I'm 50-50 about. They probably tell him if you throw a pick, don't tackle him, like just don't. But he trying to dive for another first down head first again, gets hit. Luckily he got up, but it's like, geez, man, I don't know, but yeah, and I will save it, but as bad as I think Tua and Mike have been, um, Tyreek, man. Like, where is Tyreek this year? And in
Is it
big
Tyreek
games,
though?
okay, there's a stat as well in like these big, these quote unquote big games. He has like 12 drops in like 10 games or something like that. So it's like I don't know, like I don't know what it is. But okay, albeit the last one, I'll say 90%, maybe even 95% of the blame is on the throw, right? The last one was a little bit behind, but Tyreek gets both hands on the ball, right? Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, you could even argue, is making that catch. They get two hands on the ball first. They're finding a way to get the ball.
Yeah.
And I know Tyreek isn't 6'1, 6'2, 6'3, but you're one of the highest paid receivers in the league. And when it's time to go make a play, I expect a 50-50 ball, my guy to go win, right? And like I said, I know he's not one of those guys, and that's not his specialty, but that's just what I'm going to expect out of a guy I'm paying all that money to, right? Like, I think even Jalen Waddle maybe has a better chance at making that catch, but it is what it is. Um, and I, I'll, I really want to get to this, but we don't have time. But they used two timeouts in that game, Matt, because of play calling. Like, the play calling was running down. Two timeouts in the second half that they had to burn because they weren't ready. And that's
Good
been a theme.
UH
That's been a
football right there.
theme this whole time. And I think the past several years, right? Their plays are so long and it takes them so long to get out of the huddle. Like, maybe it's time Mike relinquishes the play calling, or they figure out a better system, because that's two in a pivotal must-win game. Let's move on.
Yep.
I'm done. Sorry.
Hard stop. Hard
Sorry.
stop.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, Niners, Rams. That was another ugly game, but that I think that pretty much knocks out the Niners from the playoffs. And that was a huge win for the Rams because they're right in the thick of it now.
They're
So
winning the division now.
yeah. And I just gotta say, Matt, really sucks because I like Brock Purdy a lot. It really sucks that this is his like contract year, essentially. Because like, if you're the Niners now, what do you do? Do you pay him? Do you go like do you go pay all the other guys that you have to go pay? I don't know. Um I will say that I also think Debo definitely hurt his case um moving forward, just because he had the chance actually to go pick up that first down on the ball that hit him right in the chest. Um can't have it from your number one guy. But I think Kyron Williams, dog. I think we saw um Rams
Puka.
defense. Puka. Okay, Puka is just one of those dudes. He's in that group of like, I'll say like Devontae, Mike Evans esque, where they're not like the burners, but
He has
when it
some of the
comes
strongest hands in the
like
NFL.
contested catch, one on one, like that's probably the guys I'm gonna go to. Like Mike Evans, Puka, and Devontae. Like, they just make those like ridiculous. I mean, and JJ, but he can kind of do everything, right? But when you say strongest hands, I 100% agree with you. I always talk about the one last year in the rain at um Baltimore when he's diving, no
Mhm.
gloves. But some of the catches he's making in this game, ridiculous. And he takes hits, holds on to the ball. And I'll just say, anytime, you know, a team can hold Cooper Cup, a healthy Cooper Cup, to no catches, I'd feel pretty damn good about that. But thank God you got Puka and you got Kyron Williams, because they eventually just wore out, I think, that Niners defense. But gotta give shout out to the Rams defense too. Like really young unit, but that interior is legit, I think. They got a couple pieces on the back end, but to me it's that young core. Um, I think it's Kobe Turner and Jared Verse and I guess someone else, right?
Fisk, right? The two Florida
Fisk.
State
Yeah, the
guys.
two Florida State guys. Like they got some dogs out front and they caused some problems for the Niners. So yeah, I mean, obviously weather played a factor in this one, Matt, but kind of crazy that we've been, at least me, I've been kind of just assuming that the Niners will figure it out eventually because they're the Niners. I think most of America felt that way, but now that they're essentially out at 6-8, it's kind of crazy. Um, where do you think? I mean, where do they even go from here? I don't know.
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, they're in kind of a similar situation, I would say, as the Cowboys. In a way, it's like more last year. It's like, we got a quarterback that's due for a contract. What are we gonna do? But the thing is with Dak and the Cowboys, this is Dak's second contract. So it was already, you paid him the big one. You know, anytime you go and Brock Purdy, keep in mind, Mr. Irrelevant. So that means he is, I mean, Dak was a fourth round pick, but a seventh round pick, the last pick in the draft, you're not making that much. I mean, he's making good money for an average person, but in terms of NFL money, playing quarterback, not not a lot of money in NFL terms. So how are the Niners going to be able to handle that $50 million a year being invested into a quarterback that's, you wouldn't say, a top tier quarterback like a Mahomes or Josh Allen type? And it's something that they have to think about because I think that core group is getting a little older. I mean, Fred Warner is not getting any younger. Trent Williams he's good, but I mean, the age is always going to be there. But I mean, McCaffrey, I mean, offensive player of the year, and he's got two serious injuries this season. Who knows how he's going to be coming back. So I feel like if I'm the Niners, it's almost like you have no choice to play Brock Purdy because all these core guys it's just age and, it's their time. And the one guy I look at is Debo. I mean, Micah always like he rips on me because I love teasing him when the 49ers lose. Because there's something about the 49ers, and I'm a Cowboys fan, so maybe it's biased, but it's like they have this like arrogance about them that I just cannot stand. It's like they just think they're like the shit. But it's like the only team that can really go around and do that is theoretically it's Kansas City.
Yeah.
That's the dynasty. They just win. And it's like, okay, you can't really say anything about that. But the Niners, people don't talk about this because we're the Dallas Cowboys. It's easy to make fun of us. We have the 49ers have a longer Super Bowl drought than the Cowboys. Nobody talks about it.
Wow. I didn't know that actually.
Nobody talks about it. The 49ers have not won. Yeah, the last Super Bowl win, you can go Google it right now if you want, but the 49ers drought is longer than the Cowboys. But oh yeah, just because they made it to the Super Bowl and they're so close all the time, they're not winning. And then the one guy I cannot stand on that team is Deebo Samuel. He is literally one of my least favorite players because he is the epitome of what I see the 49ers. It's like he looks tough, but he's not. It's like a fake tough to me. It's like he's getting into these brawls. I watched him like a couple years ago with the Browns. It's like he's talking all this smack preseason, and then the Browns guys come over at him and they start chirping, and then it's like he kind of like backs away, and Trent Williams comes in and like nobody wants to fight him, right? So it's like, oh, you're the guy talking smack, and you're gonna have Trent Williams fight your battle for you? Like, come on, that is the weakest thing I've ever seen. It's like a little chihuahua, It's like just an annoying pest, and it's like I never saw Devo as a true wide receiver one, and I wasn't even trying to be. I mean, part of it was me trying to roast my brother, But in ways, I actually believe that. And I said, Micah, Tebow Samuel, when he was good, was that 2021 season when he was like basically your guy's
Yeah.
RB1. He was arguably top five running back in the league. Like that was his strength. It wasn't catching passes or going over the middle of the field. It's just how can I get this guy the ball any way I can? And he doesn't have good hands. I don't think he separates that well. So it's like, how do I get this guy the ball? Hand it
Mhm.
off, jet sweeps. He's great at that. Like that's his bread and butter to me. And it's like as you get older, right, your body wears and tears, and the way that he plays, it's a physical style of football. So can I expect this guy to create separation, especially with the NFL corners now? It's like a lot of these guys are young now. The Pat Surtans, the Stingleys, the Deron Blands. All of these guys are young. Agile. It's like you got to be able to create separation, unless you're 6'5" or Mike Evans, and you're taller than somebody and you can out jump them. But it's like that's where I think, truthfully, the problem has been this year. It's the receiving core with no Brandon Ayuk. I
That was
think
a big loss.
yeah. I told Micah like I truly think Brandon Ayuk is your most important receiver. Granted, it got all funky because the contract stuff and he didn't practice, but
Yeah.
that guy, he's like Amari Cooper. Like I think he's a pure route runner technician. Like that's the kind of guy he's gonna create separation. He's not gonna be, going in between the tackles, but it's like if it's a third down, you need a receiver to win one on one. I'm going to Brandon Ayuk. And with him out, you can't ask Debo to do that if that's not his strength. So it's hard. It's hard when you don't have both of them, I think. But I just think they've run its course. I mean, the Ayuk contract might look terrible if he starts to regress. Debo's, wear and tear. So at the end of the day, man, I think the Niners, they're stuck. They're kind of stuck with either an aging roster or they just have to completely blow it up. And I don't think Kyle Shanahan has that in his mindset. Like I don't think he can accept just to go into a full rebuild. So I feel like they have to pay Brock Purdy. Like they're not gonna get no Shador Sanders or Cam Moore. Like they're I would think they're gonna win up one or two more games at least. So that's gonna put them at 500. Like
Yeah.
that's like you're picking maybe 18th, 19th. So you're not gonna get a top tier guy. So
I
I feel
think
like they have to pay
I
Purdy.
think he'll be in that tier that's like
The Jared
just
Goff.
I think he might be even below. I really think this season hurt him. Because we know he's not a Josh Allen. He's not a Mahomes. He's not a Joe Burrow, right? So where does that put him? In that second tier, right? Tua, Goff, Lawrence, that territory, contract wise, right? But the thing I think that hurts Brock and hurt him this year is the lack of production without the top guys, right?
Yep.
Like, okay, Josh Allen is a freak, but even for freak standards, what he's producing, albeit they have Amari Cooper, but hey, 44 points, Amari Cooper, donut, zero catches, right? So he's able to do that without, utilizing his wide receiver one essentially. Yeah. That's superhuman. But is Brock Purdy gonna be able to elevate a team? I think, similar to these other guys, probably not. But but he has a track record of winning, right? He can make plays, albeit not at the highest level, but he can extend plays with his feet. And I do think, yeah, that track record does mean something. So it was a tough year, right? No CMC, no Ayuk, like you said. Debo hasn't quite been himself. The defense earlier in the year was kind of, not the standard we were accustomed to. So I still think, yeah, I agree. You're San Francisco, you got to pay him. Um, probably not that top dollar, but that second tier ish level. Um, and I don't want to say rebuild, but maybe look to change some things around. Trent Williams is aging. They're gonna need a new left tackle. Like you said, maybe get a little bit
They
more
might have
route
to trade
runners.
Debo.
Might have to trade Debo. I think George is staying.
Yeah, I don't think you can trade
I don't
him.
think you can trade George Kittle. I think he means too much to that offense. Um, blocking, pass catching wise, and I mean,
Yeah.
running backs they seem to have figured out. So I'm not too concerned. Seems like they can plug any guy that good gets into that system is going to know how to run the football. So I think they're good there. But then maybe look to shore up some holes on the defensive side as well. And they'll be back to being an elite level team next year. I think it was just a weird year, back to back, like Super Bowl or like late run in the playoff hangovers, almost you could say.
I think
So
that's real. It's a real
I
thing.
agree. I think you kind of take it for granted a little bit, and it's kind of like I don't know if it's like a lack of urgency or it's you're just assuming you're gonna get there, or it's so exhausting to have like we made it and we didn't make it again, or
That's where it's exhausting. And it's for the Niners. They've been to the Super Bowl what, twice in the past 5 years.
5 years, something
NFC
like that.
Championship like 4 out of 5 years or something crazy. So to keep getting that close and falling up short, that is like mentally just deflating,
Yeah.
and it takes a toll on you.
Yeah. So I think they'll be fine next year. I think they'll find their renewed hunger probably.
Hope
And
Brock Purdy gets like 70 million.
yeah. But hey, dude, Brock needs some money. That's why I want him to get paid too. Like, dude is living in San Francisco, right? One
Yeah,
of the
that
most
rent is
expensive
crazy.
places. Is he still driving like his college car and stuff? Like,
I
I
think
hope
so.
I hope people are helping around San Francisco are helping Brock Purdy out, like giving him free meals where he goes, just because of all that he's done at with his salary, right? So hey, I hope he gets a bag. I think he deserves it. Um,
He's a good
but
kid.
yeah,
I'm a fan.
I like Brock. Um, so yeah, I hope he gets paid. But moving on, Matt, because yeah, Niners are cooked. Rams, I think I said at the beginning of the year, Rams were one of my sneaky picks. Oh, actually, no. I think it was Arizona. I think I said Arizona. But
I think I
Arizona's
said
still
the
in it
Rams
too.
were going to be
You
a
said the
sneaky team.
Rams. Yeah. Um, but yeah, let's just get to the last game of the NFL here. And that's what looks like to be the MVP in Mr. Josh Allen. Because he goes on the road, takes on the number one seed in the NFC and drops 48 in their place. I want to preface it, Detroit. I mean, I feel so bad for Detroit. Like they are such a great team, well coached. They got guys, but man, the injuries that they've gone through this year to their, starting offensive and defensive guys, just crazy how they're able to be 12-2 at this point in week 15. So in this one though, Matt, I mean, Josh Allen is just playing out of his mind right now. Like, dude is just. You ever watch Harry Potter? And
Nope.
okay, well,
Fun fact, never read a Harry Potter book or
or
watched the
or
movie.
seen a movie. Okay, well, I'll just say in the
I rode
sixth
the
book.
ride at Universal.
Well, I'll
So
just
I know the
say
butter beer. I know that,
okay.
but
I'll just say in the sixth book, right? The Half Blood Prince, Harry gets obtains this like potion. It's called Liquid Luck, right? And dude, he drinks it, and it's like for an hour or hour and a half or something. Like everything he wants to happen just happens, and it just feels like in like life's a roller coaster. Josh Allen is just riding this high of everything. Like he's just in that seems to have been in that flow state this past several weeks, and in his personal life in his professional life. Like, has just been on an absolute tear for the past like 2.5 months, it seems like. So I think right now, probably the MVP over Lamar, with just how he's winning games and dropping points like he's been. Um, so yeah, not too much to say other than Josh Allen is a beast and he's playing out of his mind right now. But um, Jared Goff, I did want to give him some flowers too. Um, you know, kept them in it, kind of brought them back towards the end a little bit there. But I know you wanted to talk about some of the coaching decisions in that one, Matt. So
Yeah, Dan Campbell, he's at it again. I mean, a lot. I think was it last week when they played the
yep,
Packers?
yep.
Goes for it on fourth down, where we're like, I don't know about that, Dan. Like maybe you should just kick the field goal. Like the risk reward is it's a little high. I would consider this one, but hey, he gets all the praise. This week, not so much. I think it's a little bit of a reverse. So I think there's two things that I saw in the fourth quarter when the Lions were, I guess you could say, trying to come back. They score a touchdown. They're down 10 with like 12 minutes left. They declare onside kick. Not only do they not get the onside kick, Mac Hollins from the Bills recovers it, takes it all the way down to the Detroit like 5 yard line. So a couple plays later, touchdown Bills.
Mm.
I don't know. Like I just think that's one where it's like 12 minutes left in regulation in a
12 minutes in
two-score
a
game.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as much as Josh Allen is moving the ball, like I think it's a little too early for that. And maybe at that point you're just saying, hey, let's just kick it deep. Hopefully our defense can at least just keep them out of the end zone, make them kick a field goal at worst, keep it to 13, and then your offense is obviously going to have to score every single time, but at least keep it at two possessions with a chance to cut it to a one touchdown game. But it's like the risk is just, I don't know. I just think that the timing of it is just too early. So I don't know, like if you would do that as a coach. I personally think that's a little too early.
I I don't care, even if it was a 14-point game at that point, like, but being a 10-point game when you just need three and a touchdown,
Mm-hmm.
dude, football is a weird game.
Yep.
Like, you could have a receiver drop a pass, tip ball, missed exchange. I think you have a better chance of coming up with a turnover at that point, just off of something weird than
Mm-hmm.
recovering an onside kick. Just looking at the history of the percentages, of successful onside kicks, even this year, right? I think it's been pretty low. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I get aggressive, but there's, like you said, reckless versus controlled aggression. I think that one was just blatantly reckless, honestly. And it ended up biting them in the end.
It
So
did. And then now you fast forward, now there's like maybe two, I think it was like 2 minutes and 40 something seconds left. Detroit, again, down two possessions. You're down by 10. You get a stop on third down. Detroit has all three timeouts, and Dan Campbell decides to just let it drain, let the clock drain all the way down. And the Bills kick a field goal to go up 13 with 2 minutes and 3 seconds. So I understand, like, I'm watching this game. I understand what Dan's thinking. He's like, okay, yeah, we're going to stop him, hold him to a field goal. I'm trying to pocket all these three timeouts. So if my offense scores, I don't have to go for the onside kick again. I can possibly kick it deep and then pray that my defense gets a three and out and we get a last minute, you know, Hail Mary ditch at the end zone. But I guess even, this is the whole timeout situation where coaches basically earn your money in a sense. Three timeouts, you get a stop, and you have the 2 minute warning. Why not take a timeout there with 2 minutes and 40 seconds, force the field goal, and then give your offense 30 something seconds more to score a touchdown, maybe before the 2 minute warning? But even then, right? You can hopefully score a touchdown. Let's just say with a minute 30 with two timeouts. Maybe you get the ball back if you stop them with about 38 seconds, let's just say, but no timeouts. Like, I just think he held on to it way too long and it ended up costing them because they ended up burning a timeout late in the game with like 20 seconds left anyway. So that totally defeated the whole strategy of what they were trying to do. So just two things that I think, I don't know. I question the game management of the situations from Dan Campbell there. And I mean, you can look at it in last year, in a way, that aggression costed them the game against the Niners. So yeah, it looks great. You're going to convert sometimes, but when you're playing these good teams with a good quarterback, you can't be doing these kind of things to hurt yourself, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how Detroit bounces back with these, I guess, pretty serious injuries piling up. And the Vikings winning today, they're knotted up now with 3 games to
Mm-hmm.
go. The Eagles are tied with them, so the one seed for the NFC is
And no Monty.
open.
No
Oh, God.
Monty.
Well, I'm selfishly upset about that, but that's a huge loss. And then they lost. Who's a Carlton Davis, right? Isn't he the one that got hurt?
I think so.
So it's
Yeah, they're a mess.
cornerback one. It's like, ooh, I don't know. You're telling me Sam Darnold is going to be the number one seed?
That would
That would
be.
be
I mean, the
crazy.
Eagles are still right there. Let's not forget about them. They're also 12-2. So, um, but yeah, who knows? Hey, it's gonna be a heck of a finish to this
I
NFL
think the
season.
Vikings and the Lions play each other last week of the season, so that's going to be that might be for the division.
I think at this, yep, you're right. So it's gonna come right down to the wire, division and
Love that.
potentially the one seed in the NFC.
That's
So we'll
crazy.
have drama all the way to the end.
It's a
Both
lot to play for.
sides, both sides. And the NFC's isn't set either. Got a couple 7-7 teams, a couple 8-6 teams, and 9-5s. So it's real jumbled up for that last three wild card spots as well. So it'll be fun. Um, Fortunately, I won't be part of that, but it'll be fun to watch. And then see who I'm going to cheer for in the playoffs because it probably won't be the Dolphins. Um, but Matt, let's call it on the NFL. I know I went pretty long, so we want to get to some other topics here. Staying on football, award season has concluded, and shout out to Wade. He cashed on this futures ticket, but Travis Hunter ends up winning the Heisman Trophy.
And he called it.
Kind of became the betting favorite towards the end of the year, and I don't know, Matt. I guess just initial reactions. We've had some time for it to stew and look back on it now. But what is your impression of him winning the Heisman?
I don't have anything against him winning the Heisman. I mean, I personally, if I was a voter, I would have voted for Ashton Genty. I think in these kind of awards, stats do matter. And with what he was doing was pretty ridiculous, honestly, just because he's getting the ball and you still can't stop this guy. So that was my logic. But really, I don't have anything against Travis winning. What he's doing is also insane. But to some degree, I don't know if it was I don't know if Dylan said this, again, Dylan Gabriel, but like snaps or maybe it was the
Oh,
Oregon
it was
Duck. I
the
don't know.
Oregon
Yeah.
Duck on Pat
Yeah.
McAfee
But it's
show.
like snaps aren't a stat. And it's like, that's in a way, that's true. Like, just because you stand on the field doesn't mean you're doing something on both sides. But Travis Hunter obviously is not part of that discussion. He is an impact player on both sides of the ball. But I don't know. I mean, I thought it was cool. I mean, I always looking forward to the speeches too. I know the fiance is getting a lot of heat right now on
Yeah,
social media, but
yeah.
I thought it was cool to see him and Dion embrace because that was really I mean, like him and Shador. I mean, they're close, but you could really tell that it meant a lot for Travis to win with Dion right there. And I think those two have a pretty special bond where it's like, yeah, he's not a Sanders by last name, but it's like almost like like a adopted son for Dion. So I thought that was a really cool, touching moment. But yeah, I mean, no objections. But I really wanted Genty to win.
I
I really
I
wanted Genty to win.
I think this is a tough one this year, Matt. And I'll just say, you know, I'm comparing the Heisman to the MVP, right, of the NFL. And even you can go to the NBA. What does the MVP really mean, right? Like, is it the best player? Is it, are we taking it literally at its name, most valuable? And I think as valuable as Travis Hunter has been, where is Boise State without Ashton Genty? Honestly, I don't know. I think it is. It's also hard though because right, he's not the quarterback doing all this literally without anyone touching the ball. You got to rely on your offensive linemen to open up holes, right? So I can see it going back and forth personally. If I had to vote, I would lean Genty, but that's coming from a casual fan, right? So I'll preface the Travis Hunter argument with I don't watch Travis Hunter his tape play DB, right? The highlights I see is if he gets a pick, he creates a turnover, which I know he had a big fumble in one of their wins, forced a big fumble. But other than that, I'm not seeing him lock up receivers. So how good of a corner is he? We're not going to know until probably the draft comes around and they start showing, his cornerback tape. But as a wide receiver, dynamic as they come, right? We'll see how good of a route runner he shapes up to be. But there's no doubt the ball skills, like he has some of the best ball skills I've seen out of a college wide receiver or just college player, right? Both sides. Um, and just this uncanny ability to make plays out of nothing. So, without a doubt, there's the argument there. I'll just say that the big thing for me that kind of let me be okay, I guess you could say, with him winning the Heisman was he won the AP essentially Defensive Player of the Year award and the Bolitnikov, which is the best wide receiver in the country. So essentially by doing that, it's kind of, saying he's not only the best receiver, but also the best defensive player in the country. Okay, if he's going to win both of those, yeah, he should win the Heisman, right? Essentially, that's like Shohei winning, Silver Slugger and Cy Young in the same year. Like, yeah, he better be the MVP if he wins both of those, right? So, I like happy for Travis Hunter. His story is really good. He seems like a really good guy. All the stories that you hear from Dion, right? He's not this party guy. Like he goes and he plays football, then he does his homework and like focuses on school. And then he just kind of plays video games and chills. Like that's like the type of guys you want, to have on your team. All they care about is ball and, they're not doing anything crazy. So I'm really happy for Travis. Also, yeah, I liked his speech, shouting out his dad there. So I mean, I'm glad, either way I would have been okay, but yeah, just knowing that, hoping that the AP writers, were did their due diligence of really combing through all the defensive players and choosing Travis Hunter as the best one, then yeah, I think, more than deserved for him. But Ginty, maybe it's because I saw him in person too. Dude is just beast. So, um, but yeah, good for Travis. Well, I would love to see him at the next level and see how he performs and
Yeah, he looked
what
great
he
with a
decides to
star on
do.
his helmet.
Hey, I think he looked
Yeah.
good with the dolphin on the side of his helmet too. I'm just saying, like he's gonna slip that far. But um, I don't know. I think the Heisman boosted him maybe one or two slots, Matt. He might be a top 5 pick. I think.
He might be a top 3 pick, I think.
I think,
Might be
yeah.
he's gonna be the first non-quarterback
I was gonna
off the
say
board.
he's gonna be a top 10 guy earlier in the season. Now I'm like, he's got to be a top 5 pick. But now it's okay. Is he gonna go up there with Shadur and Cam, and then I don't know. Maybe you're right. He might
Depends
be.
who needs a quarterback, but I truly think that's going to be the three guys taken in some order: Travis, Shador, and Cam Ward. I really think that's going to be the top three picks
Yep. I
in no
mean,
particular order.
probably. So yeah, it the draft's gonna be fun for sure this year. Um, but we can kind of close on
Wouldn't it be
football
funny if
here.
the Giants draft Travis Hunter and they keep Daniel Jones?
He's just playing corner then. He's gonna say, yeah, let me just stick on this side of the ball for now. Um, yeah, that would be hilarious though. Um, yeah, well, let's move on to some NBA stuff, Matt. Um, I guess you wanted to bring up the little friendly competition between Stephen A and Kenny Smith. Um, well, Kenny, see, I don't get why, if you're Kenny, why shoot left-handed? Like, why?
Well,
Like,
because didn't he say that he was too good to shoot right-handed?
yeah, but doesn't that kind of build in an excuse if you lose, and then if you win, it's like I beat Stephen A left-handed. Like, I don't like that personally, especially if it's Stephen A of all guys. Like, I'm just gonna go beat him. I don't care who it is. I'm not gonna handicap myself, and give myself, cushion if I lose. So that's what it seemed like to a little bit to me. It's like it'd be real embarrassing if he lost Stephen A shooting
Hey, but
regular.
Stephen A was shooting. He was doing. I saw he had a training video with the Lethal Shooter,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So those, I don't know if who was editing that video, but he was making everything he was shooting. It seemed like it was like, damn. That's why I was like, wow. I mean, I knew he had a basketball background, but that video was very
Okay.
deceiving. I was like, man, he's making
Well,
everything.
thinking of a left-handed and right-handed shooter, then you and Blaze free throw contest. Who's winning?
Me.
Okay, 3-point contest too.
If it was like a speed round, I would say Blaze because he told probably just jack up like 100 threes, make about 10. I'll shoot. I'll shoot
If you're
maybe
you're
like
shooting, you're both shooting the same amount, free throws and 3-point. I think free throws. I'm not gonna say actually. I don't know. I think Blaze is a pretty good shot, but free throws. You think? Because I'm just trying to think of a lefty. He's like the only lefty shooter I know. So you think you can beat
mm,
Blaze? 10. You each have like 10.
10 threes.
No, 10 free throws. Just free throws.
Oh, yeah.
You think you're beating Blaze?
Heck yeah.
Wow. We need to settle this on the court off season.
I'm ready. Let me get my surgery first, but then
Oh yeah. We got to do all three. You got to go 1v1 and then free throws and then three-pointer.
yeah, and
And then
then
we'll
we have
see.
to run routes on the park too because
Oh god.
he self-proclaimed himself as the seatbelt. Like nobody ever self-proclaims themselves a nickname. Like that is the most arrogant thing you could say. But I will say I was cooking Blaze on his street in my Jesus slippers. So I mean, I already know that the football thing is like that guy's
Okay. Well, we got some off-season
yeah.
content, I
So
guess, that we
I
need to
told him,
film.
oh yeah, that would actually be off-season content. That would be hilarious. So what
Yeah.
we got to do is, but I literally was telling Blaze this. I was like, I need a quarterback. You need a quarterback. So I think it's only fair that you're my quarterback
So
and
who's gonna
Sakai
be?
Sakai is Blaze's
Oh,
quarterback.
hey, I love Maddie, but there's a reason I ended up having to play QB in college, and I'm terrible, by the way. But the fact that I had to do it, yeah, I think we saw why after
Yeah,
our
we
first
had
couple times.
QB by committee for like what, like two drives.
Yeah, because he actually throws it farther than me because my shoulder's still so messed up. But yeah, there's a reason I had to end up being it for the next 3.5 years. Um,
Okay, do you think you could beat Hayato in a free throw contest?
Now, no, there's no. He's literally
Hayato? That's
Matt.
his Achilles heel.
Matt, he's a professional basketball player.
But that's his Achilles
I don't
heel.
care. I d- there's no
He was
way.
good in college too.
Yeah, but he's a perfect Matt. All he does, his career is to play basketball. I'm not beating him in any basketball related competition. No, there's
Okay,
no
the three pointers, you
me.
beat a lot of
Maybe
people.
maybe me now versus him like his freshman year of college. Maybe because you're right. It was rough in college, but it's a little bit different now. So hey, there's
Uh,
no.
I don't know. That's the one area of Hayato's game that he never mastered.
I think he's got have gotten better. There's no way. But
Okay, well, like, what about you now versus him as a college
no,
senior?
that's what I was saying. I think me now versus him as a college student would be competitive.
But I feel like we would all be better in college, right? Because we played a little bit
I don't know.
more.
I think I'm better now, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
like I don't know. I just think I am. But because I wasn't very good in college. So I think shooting wise, I'm better now. But anyway, yeah. That would be interesting. If we ever get the chance, we should do that. That would be fun.
yeah.
Um, but
Blaze is too scared this way.
anyway, getting to a couple other points because I went a little long on the Dolphins, but the basketball, like NBA Cup, maybe it'll wait, but man, I've been seeing the numbers on the NBA viewership map. I didn't realize how much it was tanking, and like thinking about it myself, I only watch Lakers games. So like
Me
I'm
too.
not I'm not turning on ESPN to go watch like the Clippers and the Mavs play even though Luka is a star and like there's a lot of stars in the league, but you're kind of like why is basketball losing kind of that edge of, you know, watchability almost? I get okay, it's football season now, but like I don't even have an interest to watch any team outside of the Lakers. As good as Wemby is, like I'm not gonna go, say, oh, let me go watch Wemby play. I'd rather go do something else than something like that. I think we'll come back to that later, but I just wanted to bring that up because I think it is interesting that viewership is kind of going down with basketball. And my theory is kind of based on pace of play, like too many fouls, right? Like not enough accessibility to watch a lot of games, a lot of injuries to star players makes it hard, I think, too. But yeah, kind of weird to see the viewership ratings down so much with the NBA. But sticking on the team that we actually do watch, the Lakers, got a big win last night, but the LeBron situation, like a little bit weird in my opinion. Never seen LeBron take essentially take PTO. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
does
I
LeBron have
mean,
vacation days? I mean,
he's LeBron James. He
yeah,
can do whatever he wants at this
that's
point.
exactly what I was gonna say. Literally, no other player in the league could do that. I don't know if there was something ailing him, but I trust the Lakers. I trust JJ more than anyone right now, just because of how cerebral he is, the type of communicator he appears to be, the relationship he has with LeBron. And I think it was if there was some BS going on, then I think, something would have been handled. But I don't know. I think like unfortunately we're seeing the waning moments of LeBron James's career, whether it's this season or next season. Um, I think there are the signs starting to show now physically and apparently maybe mentally slash emotionally. If he's gonna have to take a couple days to kind of get his mind right. But yeah, man, I don't know. What did you think about the whole situation? Is it nothing to be concerned about, or do you think this is something that needs to be looked into?
I think it's not a big deal. I mean, if he needs a couple days, give him a couple days. I think it had to have been something was bothering him physically. I mean, but wasn't he ruled out Wasn't that the initial diagnosis? Like they were ruling him out with an injury, and then it became like, oh yeah, it's personal days now. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You don't have to quote me on that, but I thought that's what the initial thing was. Like, oh yeah, he's questionable for this game because of I forget what it was, the injury, and then it tinkered on to be like a oh personal days. He's away from the team. So I think it's just more load management at this point. And it's hard. Like people have to realize like this guy is almost 40. He turns 40 years old this month, later in December. In basketball, age, that's like senior citizen, literally. Like you're in a care home almost. Like that's how many miles he's put on his body in his career. So people have to keep that into perspective. So he's not going to be superhuman LeBron James, Miami Heat prime LeBron athleticism, playing 82, 48 minutes a night. Like, he can't do that. So I think this is a way to just kind of manage the workload, keep him healthy in terms of no serious long term injury, in hopes that the Lakers obviously can, get into the playoffs. Most likely, I would say at least get into the play in, which means you're still playing competitive basketball after the regular season ends. So that's really all that matters for LeBron. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
he could care less if he averages X amount of points or whatever. He just wants a chance to compete
Oh yeah.
for a championship when that's all said and done.
I mean, he has all the records at this point, solidified himself
Yep.
Hall of Fame wise. So
But
I mean,
I think I'll say for the Lakers though, with this, if this is gonna be a trend where LeBron like is like, oh, maybe I need a couple games here and there. Maybe the Lakers have to. I think the Lakers have to do something different. Like, I don't know if this lineup is gonna cut it.
it's not gonna cut it.
He,
And I
they
want to
have to
get it.
find a way to get a star, like a third star,
Yeah. Like
Lamelo.
AD, he's still been yeah, I wish. AD has been playing out of his mind when he has good games. He's not on that MVP, caliber pace that he was at to start the season. But I will say, nonetheless, you are absolutely right. Um, they need to find another essentially borderline superstar. Like I love Austin Reeves, right? I think Dalton Connect can shape up to be a great player for this
I don't know
team,
if you trade him.
but something has to get done. Like I love the effort the guys give. I love what Cam Reddish gives us. I love what Max Christie can give us energy wise. Rui, I think, has improved as a defender this year, but I don't think that means that this team, as currently constructed, is built to win a championship and even potentially get out of the West. Like as as good as those guys are, I think they're still missing another piece. Um, like I've been on this roller coaster with D'Lo the past several seasons now. I just don't think it's a fit. He's given us some really great moments, some really clutch moments. At the same time, he's put up some absolute stinkers and made some very, very questionable plays. He's not good defensively. And I think if you have to take a coin flip 50-50 on him with bad defense, like I don't think we're gonna be able to have that at that point. So like I still really wish we went out and got Clay. Like that was my dream scenario for us to get Clay. But it is what it is now. Gabe Vincent, bless his heart, just hasn't given us what Miami Gabe Vincent was at this point. And we desperately need another big to spell AD. Like Christian Koloko, he's young, but he's still kind of raw and doesn't really have the body against some of these bigger guys. If LeBron has to play the five, like when AD's out, it's not going to work.
It's not good.
It's not good. So we don't know what the heck's happening with Christian Wood. I don't know if Jared Vanderbilt ever plays basketball for the Lakers again, because those are two guys that we would desperately use right now. But yeah, Matt, 100% with this team as currently constructed, I don't think is going to be able to get the job done.
You guys got to call the Pelicans.
I said Herb Jones.
CJ?
I thought Herb Jones was great. You're right. CJ would be a nice piece. Even bringing back potentially a Brandon Ingram would be huge, but we'll see. I think one of those guys, just someone to help the offense, would be
I feel like
great.
CJ would be honestly like because he's like I mean we saw him with Dame, right? Dame's the guy. He's the typical. He's a perfect like he could be a perfect number three
But
guy
see, yeah,
offensively.
but to me, he's almost just Austin Reeves. Like CJ, yeah, he's great, but defensively, he's not good, right? Like he's kind of a burden on defense. Hey, like I said, I just know Rob Pelinka. We something needs to get done in season this year for
And
us to go make a
he's
run.
back on the hot seat
Mm,
again.
yeah. So hey, make something happen, Rob. I trust you, but we need to do something because this team not good enough as it currently is. Okay, Matt. With that being said, I guess we have to keep it under 2 hours now. So I want to give you some time to talk some baseball. Um, your Yankees, although we missed out on Soto, couple big signings. I think you're excited about. Got some more help for that pitching staff. Signed Max Fried to a big 200+ million deal. And trade for Devin Williams, only giving up Nestor Cortez and one of your,
One
I
of your
guess,
opinion.
top utility prospects. Sounds like, but two really good arms, starting pitcher and one of the best relievers in the league. So I'm sure you're stoked, Matt. But yeah, how are you feeling after bolstering that pitching staff?
I mean, that's a two good top notch pitchers in this game. So I don't want to say that. I mean, it's way too early. I mean, we talked about it last week with the initial like raw reaction of Soto signing, but it could be, it just could be a blessing in disguise that we didn't pay Soto almost basically his contract could be over $800 million when it's all said and done. And nothing against Wancho. I mean, he brought me a lot of great memories this season, and I don't think I can hold a grudge on someone like that that brought me so much joy like that. And I haven't felt that in a while as a Yankees fan. So, but just the roster construction with the Yankees, it would have been challenging as you got towards the latter years of that deal, especially with us having Stanton. I think that's still the key thing that makes this thing tough with Soto. It's like when he's old and Stanton is really old. It's like, oh my gosh, we might have the slowest team in baseball. But with that money now off the books in a sense, the Yankees showed that, hey, we're going to spend this much money on Soto. And just because we had Soto doesn't mean we're done. Like they had to add pieces after that. So they're showing their hand. Like, yeah, like we're going to go sign guys. We're going to be just fine. And one of the ways that you can be fine is be better with the pitching. And I said this last week. I said this 2 weeks ago. You can never have enough pitching. Never. I mean, look at your Dodgers, right? We all thought, oh, you guys were pretty good. Uh, yeah, pitching, a couple guys go down, you are in big trouble. So you can never have enough of that. But with Freed, allowed us to trade Cortez for really a back end closer that we haven't had since Chapman. And I'm talking about prime Chapman. So probably Devin Williams will most likely be a rental. But for what we gave up, not something that I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, it's going to hurt in the long run. But I like the signing. I still think in the bullpen, we need lefties. I don't think we have a lefty in our bullpen. So Tim Hill is a guy I would probably reach out to first. Me being greedy, it's like, can we go knock on Tanner Scott and can we just kick that door down? Let's just see what we can get.
Whoa, hold on there. I'll take Tanner Scott off your hands. Don't worry.
No, but we need a left. We don't have a left. You guys got Vessia. You guys got what's the other
That's
guy?
it. Oh, Vonda.
Bonda. Yeah, so you guys got at least two guys back there, and who knows? Maybe Kershaw might be in the bullpen a little bit in the season, but we don't have anybody. So Tim Hill and Tanner Scott, it's a pretty good lefty combo right there. That's all I'm saying. But right now, I mean, in the big picture, we need to fill the offensive void, and I'm like almost banking on Cody Bellinger being on the Yankees at some point in time in this offseason. It's just really a matter of like how much are the Cubs willing to eat because they have to eat some of this contract. But I think Bellinger is going to be a Yankee this coming season. I mean the fact that he plays center field and first base is almost ideal position wise for the Yankees. He's a lefty bat, so hope maybe that short porch will help him, become almost a slugger again. Like MVP Bellinger. But I'm encouraged with what Brian Cashman has done so far because I would say really it's been the Mets got Soto, but I'm talking like big signings. Like Freed and Williams are all-star players. Like okay, even your Dodgers, like you guys re-signed Trinan, but there hasn't been that like, oh, you guys got Blake Snell, so I guess that counts. So really, it's been, I guess you could say, the three teams with the biggest payroll going at it again. So it's nice to see that we're still part of that upper tier that's willing to spend. But I need a lefty in the bullpen. I need a lefty in the bullpen. So Tanner Scott, I'm gonna get greedy, man. If we're gonna pay Soto 760 million, we got 200 on Freed. I mean, his contract is looking pretty good in terms of AAV. Devin Williams is a rental, probably. So let's go get Tanner Scott, man. I mean, let's go get Tanner Scott because if we got to beat the Dodgers, well, what better person to have on the mound than Tanner Scott? Because he's Shohei's kryptonite.
He is. That's why I want him on my team. Because I don't want to see Shohei against Tanner Scott ever again. That was tough to watch.
Yeah. But I mean, we did miss out on Tucker. That was the one I was like, ooh, if we could get Kyle Tucker, that was the one player I would be willing to give up Luisio for. So I'm like almost praying that I don't think Cashman is this stupid that he would just cave in and give the Cubs Luisio. That would be Yankee fans would lose their mind. I think if there was the trade for Bellinger when we could have got Kyle Tucker of all people. Yeah. So that's the thing, man. I think the pitching depth is, at least for the starters, is pretty solid right now. Well, we need that lefty in the bullpen. That's the next step. Offense is a no-brainer, but I gotta get that lefty in the bullpen that can get outs.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Still a lot of names out there. Big names. Yeah, I'm waiting on Teo.
Walker.
I'm waiting on Teo to resign. Sounds like the 3 years is the problem, but yeah, Teoscar is still out there. Walker Buehler, Jack Flaherty on our team. But yeah, like you said, Christian Walker, another big name out there. Corbin Burns, another big arm. About it too. So there's still a lot of things yet to be determined. And let's not forget Roki Sasaki.
The other Japanese guy signed today too, right? He signed with the Orioles.
A little bit older guy. I think he was like 35 already, but posted really good stats in Japan. So yeah, lot of players still out there looking for contracts, and we'll see how things continue to play out in free agency. But okay, Matt. Yeah, I think that was pretty good for baseball. So why don't we get into some of our quick hitters here?
All right. Jerry Jones Award this week. I mean, this one was actually pretty easy for me. I didn't really talk about it in the game recap, but I guess we can talk about it now. But it is hands down, not even close this week. Probably unanimous pick. It has to be Devondre Campbell.
Has to be.
I don't think I have seen anything. I mean, maybe Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
But at least Antonio Brown had a resume, you could say. Like,
I like it. Just the theatrics matched how AB like didn't really catch us. It was still crazy, but it was like, oh, that's AB.
Yeah. But the Devondre Campbell one was interesting because he was complaining about not playing basically because they get Dre Greenlaw back this week. But wouldn't shouldn't you have known when you signed with the Niners that they have Fred Warner and that Dre Greenlaw is eventually gonna come back? It's not like he's gonna just overtake him. Like he's one of those cornerstone guys on this team. It's like
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know what Devondre Campbell is thinking, but
I don't know.
it's bad when your coach is calling you out and George Kittle, literally Mr. 49er, is like, I don't want to ever be a part of somebody like that again.
I
And he
mean,
seems
how
like one of the
can you
nicest
want to?
dudes.
Like, literally saying, I don't want to play anymore.
That is
What?
I mean, just that ruined he's not gonna play in the NFL ever again. And
How
he was
co-
actually a good player.
Yeah, he's good. That's the thing that like threw me off so much. It's like in Green Bay, he was so good, and like I, yeah, baffling to me.
Yep. So they suspended him for 3 games, but there's also just 3 games left in the season for the Niners. So basically, it's like, yeah, you're gone. And I think I saw something that they cleared out his locker already in the locker room. So just yeah, that's a life lesson for young athletes out there. It's like just be a team player, be a team player, and know your role. Do your job.
You know, it's funny. I think last year he was nominated as the Packers Walter Payton Man of the Year
Are you serious?
nominee. Yeah. So I don't know what the heck went wrong, but yeah,
Okay, I
not
did not know that.
no,
That's
not a good
interesting.
look though from by Devondre. I don't know, man. Um, yeah, but 100% agree on that one. My fans tribute, Matt. This is kind of tough. Um, but I decided to just essentially give it to the Bucks trio because it was weirdly enough like a really important game for two teams, the Bucks and the Chargers. Um, but yeah, after it was all said and done, Baker Mayfield goes out and shreds the Chargers defense. Mike Evans has a day, and Bucky Irvin, your Oregon boy, has a great day on the ground as well. Weirdly, just didn't get a lot of headlines. I don't know why, because it was actually a really important game for both of these two teams standing wise. And Baker just went out there and outdueled Justin Herbert. So, in LA. So really big win for them. Wanted to give them their flowers. And I just don't get like, you know what? I'll save it on Justin Herbert. But yeah, I just think when it's time, hey, I still need to see it. Justin's one of those guys too. Like
Yep.
I get he's great. Like I get it. I know the Tua comparisons, but what was it? 28-point lead or 20 something point lead against the Jags.
The Jags. That was like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah. So no, wasn't it last year? I think it was last year. So
No, the Jags didn't make the playoffs last year
oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. 2
because
years ago.
CJ came in.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Hey, that's still, fairly fresh in my
Yeah,
mind. But
that's a legacy. Yeah, that's a stinger on your legacy.
yeah.
Not gonna
So
lie.
still gonna need to see it from Justin too when it counts. But luckily they're still in the playoff hunt. But yeah, shout out to Baker and the Bucks. So that's it for me, Matt. Why don't you round us out here with our sports fact?
All right, we're recording on December 16th. Let's go back to 1973. A guy by the name of O.J. Simpson, aka Juice, became the first running back to rush for 2,000
Dude,
yards in a
you pull
season.
some of the wildest, the wildest ones, man. You talk about OJ. Okay, OJ was. I mean,
I
the
didn't say
numbers,
anything
the
off the field. I
numbers,
said
the
things on the
numbers
field.
speak for itself. You're right. Oh, I didn't know he was the first guy to rush for 2,000 yards. Pretty
Yeah, that
impressive,
was my
actually.
dad's. He was my dad's favorite player
I
growing
mean,
up.
OJ was one of them
Yeah,
dudes. So yeah.
he's literally.
Uh, anyway, try to keep it sports based, Matt. Come on. But yeah, let's I think that was pretty good. to wrap. Sorry, I know I went long on my Miami spiel. I was just holding in frustration for like a day and a half and had to vent some of it out. But yeah, we'll still be up to date even though our teams are basically cooked at this point. Still gonna be a fun end to the rest of the regular season. Probably do a couple other segments. Hopefully, we can talk a little bit more about basketball. I guess not just us, Matt. That's not watching or talking about basketball. It seems like across the
Yeah.
nation slash world, viewership is dipping. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on there, but maybe we'll talk about that next week. But anyway, as usual, guys, we appreciate you listening every week, and we'll be back again next week. So take care, have a good week, stay safe, and we'll see you guys later.